All right, next problem. So the first thing we always do is read that question first. And it says clearly, how many feet are left to finish the trail? So as always, everybody, what's the first thing we want to think of when we see that we're trying to find out how much of anything is left? How much of something remains? What are we thinking there? What operation do we feel like has to come into play at some point? Yeah, subtraction. Subtraction has to come into play at some point here. So how many feet are left to finish? So how much is left? So subtract to get the remaining amount for that finish line. So what do we know so far? We know that the hiking trail right over here, it's 5 miles long. We know that it's 5 miles long. So the whole trail, the trail equals 5 miles. All right, sounds good. Now, from there, it says the hiker has already walked 9,240 feet. Okay, sounds good. So we need to take the 5 miles that the trail encompasses, and we want to subtract over here the 9,240 feet. So the clear issue here is that we have miles and feet, and if we want to subtract, well, we got to make sure that at the end we get feet. That's what our answer choices say. So with that said, my party people, let's go ahead and do this. Here we go. We are going to do 9,240 feet, leaving that as is, and we'll turn the miles into feet. So right over here, we are going to do multiplied by 5,280 because here's your conversion. 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. So with that said, my party people, let's go ahead and get it done. Once we're done with the conversion, then we're going to subtract. So here we go. 5,280 multiplied by 5. 0 times 5, that's going to be 0. 8 times 5 is 40, carry that 4. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 4 is 14. Then we have 5 times 5, that's going to be 25. Carry the 1 is 26. And so there we go. There we are, the 5 miles. That's going to translate to 26,400 feet. So now that we are here, my friends, what did we need to do again? Yeah, we needed to subtract, exactly. We needed to subtract. So to get that going, let's go ahead and just show that here. 9,240, we have the same units, so now we're good to go. And let's get that done. Let's finish things up. So 26,400 minus 9,240. 0 minus 0 is going to be 0. 0 minus 4 can't do that. So we'll go ahead and borrow a 1. And then we have 10 minus 4. That's going to give us 6, getting ahead of myself. Then we have 3 minus 2 is 1. And then we have 26 minus 9. That'll end up giving us 17. And there we are. Our final answer, the final amount that is left on this hike, on this trail, is 17,160 feet. And there we are, my party people. There we are. The correct answer for this question is answer choice A. Hit me. What is the goal of this question? Give me one word for it. I want one word. Yeah, you could definitely take a peek here and say, one word, but I'm reading distance around the edge of the fountain. Well, yeah, when you think about the distance around the edge of anything, yeah, that is, in this case, given that we see a circle, that is circumference. Distance around the edge of the fountain, that is circumference. That's what we want. So as soon as we know what we want, the big advantage that we have is we know that there's a formula for this term. We just have to realize or figure out, hey, are we supposed to use option 1, which is 2 pi r, or are we supposed to use option 2, which is pi times d. That's all we have to ask ourselves. And to understand this, the letters give it away. The letters say, hey, we have r for radius, d for diameter. A circular fountain has look at that. It's almost like they have to be specific because these are very specific terms. Radius of 10 meters. So given that we are given the radius, we are going to use the formula that uses the radius right over here. This is the radius version, and here is the diameter version. The big winner right here is the first one. So now that we know which is the right formula to use, given the information we have, we can make a good decision. We can plug in the value into this formula. And if you take a look at the answer choices, everybody, if you take a look at the answer choices, are we going to be replacing pi with 3.14, or are we going to leave it as is? Yeah, we're going to leave it as is, because notice, pi is just pi in the answer choices, so we'll leave pi as pi in our calculation. Again, we can answer those questions that we have, those bits of roadblocks and anxiety. We can ask questions to move past those moments. So here we go. Let's plug in what we have. Circumference equals 2 times leave pi as pi, and the radius was 10. We plugged in the radius as the right value, and now we can clean things up and just say 2 multiplied by 10, my party people, that's going to give us 20. And so we have 20 pi, and that's it. We're all done. The big bad diameter problem, it's really not that crazy at all. And so we can highlight the correct answer as B, 20 pi, and we're all set. My party people, so far, how are we feeling? Do we feel like we might be, getting to the point where we might be ready to start trying some word problems on our own? Cool, sounds good. So let's go ahead, and before we even get into the next problem, I just want to take a quick little detour. And that detour is just going to be this. My party people, if we had a formula, let me just zoom on in over here. If we had a formula that said, let's use this one. Let's say we had a formula that said, hey, circumference. Everybody, to get the circumference, what operation did we use? Help me out. To figure out what the circumference was, what operation did we use? Yeah, we multiplied all the way through. 2 times pi times 10. So to get the circumference, we multiplied to get it. Everybody, if it just so happens that we try a problem where we have to work backwards, we are given the circumference and we have to find the radius, let's say, what operation do you think we might need to utilize to work backwards? Yeah, division. That's division. So that's all I wanted to go ahead and kind of, just remind y'all of before we